Welcome back, everyone. Apologies for that hiatus. There are some things I guess you just can't control, like the perfect timing of my sister's Pokemon egg hatching. It's a Shelder. I'm sure everybody is very excited to know that she hatched a really bad IV Shelder. Nevertheless, we are going to start soon with round 14 of the Arden Cup. It is between Marty Gabriel, who is in first place. He just won his last game by a very shocking amount. That shouldn't be legal. And he will play Geoff Thevenot, who isn't having a very great tournament. He's the 3rd seed and he's 6 and 7. The field is tough. There's a lot of really strong players here, and he's probably very disappointed with only winning 6 at this point. So maybe his luck will turn around soon and he will crush Marty, since he is only really 1.5 games out of the prizes right now. But he may be too far behind to finish any higher than 3rd. So we shall see. But nevertheless, it will be just a few minutes from now. We will have these two players facing up. And as soon as I get the racks, I will let you guys know, and hopefully there will be no issues this time around. I'm sure the players are just starting drawing their tiles now, but while we wait, I hope everyone is doing great. I hope everyone who is at the Arden Cup is enjoying the Arden Cup. I hope everyone following the coverage on Cross Tables is enjoying finding out how their favourite people are doing. I hope everything else is going generally well. That sounded more awkward than it sounded in my head. So here we go, the racks are coming in. And we will start with Marty's rack. He's got 1 vowel. Not that much else going for it, really. Could be better, but it also could be a lot worse. He does have a 5-letter word, and that's really what you're looking for from your opening rack if it's not a bonus. And he does play draw with the L on the centre square. And yeah, hopefully he draws something nice. So Geoff's first rack, immediately he is pleased. He's got a blank. That's the first step to batting at 500 now. So all he's got to do is find a way to hit the play out of the park. That was so bad. So he's immediately looking at the double through the R. Because he's got a blank, that makes it a tiny bit harder. Harder in the sense that he's got to think of what the blank should be. So, I mean, I see the word lodestar, but that's obviously not a double. It's better played through the D than it is through the R. I'm sure there is much better. But because I don't really want to think about it, let's have a look. There isn't a double. So once Geoff works that out, he will ignore the double and start drawing his attention to the L. because if he can't hit the double-double, he does want to hit the triple, because that is the best score out there. So the 2 words that hit the triple are La Voltas, which rhymes with John Travolta, and one of my favourite words in the dictionary, Santa lol. It's what happens when, you know, Father Christmas comes around and you make him laugh so much that Santa lols. But yeah, there's a lot of chemical words in Scrabble that end LOL, and I've always found that studying these kind of words, they just make them more memorable, because they just end up being a lot funnier. And if a word ends up more memorable, you know, you'll never forget it really, will you? So, there are plenty of 7-letter words here. You've got saltato, coastal, alastor, catalose, tapalos, Solacia, and more saltato, and amatobs. And then obviously you've got places like Lodestar, Sultando, and lots of other different bonuses available. So I wouldn't be surprised here if Geoff is really considering thinking about a double-double. He's got really nice letters. It's just unfortunate that some of the double-doubles don't fit. Pastoral doesn't quite fit over the stars. And the R's are just too far to the end of the words to have them be the double-double that he wants. And hopefully eventually he will start looking at the L once he has almost concluded that he can't look at the R anymore. But if he doesn't see La Voltas or Santalol, which are both really hard words to see, La Volta will be quite a low probability word, and Santalol begins with an S instead of ends in one. And you wouldn't really think about the 2 L's in the position that they are. You wouldn't think about ending a word OL or LOL, would you? So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up thinking just about a 7-letter word here and ends up going for something like coastal. But we will wait and see. Geoff is taking quite a bit of time here, even for something so early in the game. I think also because he's had such a rough tournament, he may be thinking he's missed a bunch of words. He's not been drawing so well, and it's probably really hard for him to really want to not spend so much time over these. It's hard for him to play them quickly just because he's been having a rough time with it. But he does play coastal. Probably looked at that R for too long and maybe skipped over the L. No, Father Christmas is laughing now. So Marty's turn. He is only 46 points behind. Which is, you know, it's great for him. It's kind of one of the things that happens after you bonus so early. You don't end up that far ahead, and your opponent doesn't end up that far behind. But immediately Marty's going to see these X spots that Geoff has created. So a play like a different play, something like Santalol, doesn't give away these X hotspots. And of course, it's really unlikely your opponent would have the X in the first place. But with the kind of tournament Geoff's having, I wouldn't be surprised if he played thinking that his opponent was going to have them anyway. So Geoff's new rack, his post-bonus rack, it's quite clunky. It's got a lot of letters on it that do not go well together. But he won't be thinking about that too much because there are some really nice scoring spots on the board. Particularly this triple square at J10. That triple square is it's great for his W, and it's a great way to play off two of the high scoring consonants and leave some balance on his rack. And oh wow, there's also a double-double. 44 points would get him a half a bonus lead. It's the perfect play, and unfortunately it doesn't get played. He plays WOP instead. WOP does give a parallel high scoring play back, whereas pre-race doesn't. So yeah, see, missing the double-double there, it's very unfortunate. Whether he spent any time looking for it or not, I wouldn't know. Considering the way his rack looked, I wouldn't be surprised if he just overlooked the double-double to begin with. But because of the tournament he's been having as well, I'm not surprised that he didn't see the double-double. Anyway, Marty's turn. He is looking at a rack that's very clunky. After the XI play, he really is kind of struggling here because he's only got the U as a vowel, and that's kind of not what was wrong about the XI play, but what it could happen. Going back to Geoff's play, yeah, as Lipey says in chat, it is hard to think about keeping the W, yeah. It's not the letter you purposefully go out to keep for that turn. You would always want to keep either the P or the C while getting rid of the other two. But of course, you should never be so transfixed on getting rid of certain letters, because that kind of limits your possibility and means you can miss stuff sometimes. So Marty's got to think about taking out lane K, the lane parallel to WOP. That's the best scoring opportunity on this board right now, short of the double-double. And he needs to find a word that fits down the side of it, just to score a bit of points, to come back level or maybe pull ahead of Geoff. And he's not really got the letters to do it. Only the K and the N on this rack go after AW, and those letters aren't easily followable by anything that goes after LA. So it's hard to see what he can do here. He may spend a bit of time thinking about this as well. He may eventually plump for something down column F, but there is only one thing that seems to fit down. Oh, that would be a good choice. Completely missing the double word square, which is always something to not get so transfixed over, taking the premium squares. Because if you're so focused on a premium squares, you can miss moving a word up one. So he plays Tund, which is really the only thing that fits nicely down the side. Dunt and Munt also do, but Tund scores the most and unduplicates the Ds. But Dunk has a slightly nicer leave. Ooh. Wrong rack. There we go. Let's see if I can make some magic happen. So Geoff is probably feeling pretty fortunate that his play of WAP didn't give so much away on the side. According to Chris Light, the difference between pre-race and WAP was only about 3 points in equity. and there may have been a kind of positional advantage to playing WOP. But like he says, the K lane opening is very gross. It's very easy to score a good 40 points off of that, and unless you know for certain your opponent won't have the letters to maximize it, you don't really want to do it. And a play of Xi doesn't really suggest anything. So Geoff's looking to dump maybe 3 or 4 letters here. Definitely splitting up these E's would be some kind of priority. It's hard to play anything without burning the S here. There's not much on offer because he's got duplicate E's. So with more duplicates, there are fewer words to play. And Speedy Player seems to like Eco. It's got one of the best leaves. But it's one of the best leaves, one of the best scorers. It does open out row 3, so something like Deep Deco goes in front of it. But he does just dump the O and the E here for 8. I can understand why he's done that. He's made openings. His leave isn't too great. C's don't go really well with E's, but they do go together somewhat. So we'll see if that works out for him. So Marty's rack. He's got some nice scoring tiles here. He's definitely looking to make some points, take advantage of either the double or this OXO hook here. There's not much else on offer. He can't use column H. So he's really looking to score some points, retake the lead, keep it tight, not give anything away, because it's clear that Geoff is fishing here, but he can't really do anything to stop his fish. So he plays Mako, which is completely fine, especially knowing that Geoff might bonus next turn. You can play parallel to Mako and get a good score back, so you won't be that far behind after a potential bonus. So Geoff's rack, even though he's got the U and the V together on his rack and the C, it's really awful. But he does find the bonus here. He does play it as a double-double, and he does take a commanding lead. Chris Light just pointing out in the chat that playing O where he did leaves the L column open, which does take ERS ending bingos. So it's worth making a second bonus lane opening. It also leaves the double-double open, so it creates lots of really flexible lanes that Geoff could use for potential future bonuses. But it's Marty's turn, and he's looking at his rack, and it's close to a disaster. Quite literally close to a disaster. It's not got anything immediately jumping out at me on. It's very tough because it's full of 1-pointers. and a D. And when you've got two I's, it becomes harder because you can't really stack I's in words. Just because I's just don't go very well in multiples, do they? And Marty's looking for a couple of floaters, C, N, L, R, and P. Now, unfortunately, the R is in the wrong place. He just saw his 8 get blocked with a bonus. It's the best way to block bonuses, isn't it? Just smash a bonus down right where your opponent's bonus would have gone. So unfortunately, this means he's got quite a decision to take this move. He is a bonus behind. Recurves has taken out the lanes that Geoff created. The play of Marco also took out one of the lanes. So there's really only one bonus lane that isn't through a floater, and that's underneath WOP. So it's row 13. Otherwise, a bonus will have to come through the R of Recurves, and it has to be in the 5th position, or through the M of Mako. I don't know how to pronounce that. But yeah, it's a very difficult position to be put in. There's not much flexibility in where the bonuses can be played. So he's really going to have to think about what he does here. Does he sacrifice some points to fish? Or does he maybe go for points and hope that a bonus could just fall on his rack? And obviously the best place to score would be down column L. Anything down column L, it gives away something down column M. And that's almost a problem because you don't want your opponent to be scoring 30s and 40s when you're trying to catch up, because it means you have to score more than them. And so it seems like the two best speedy player plays are little slotting plays here. And Marty does see aid. Now he is relying on a consonant pickup after this. I don't know what the vowel consonant distribution is in that pool. It just looks like a bunch of letters to me. But possibly and hopefully he may be looking to get some consonants from that bag. So Geoff's new rack, he'll be very pleased to see the Z or the Z because he's American. It's a very good scoring tart, especially on this board. There are lots of potential spots for it. You've got L1, A4, D1, and also the bottom half underneath drawers. You've got that lane there. With all these potential locations for it, even column H, there's a lot of opportunity to score 50 points here. And Speedy Player is probably going to suggest a bunch of 50 points. Look at all those 50 and 40 point scores. So many. But yes, Geoff plays Ginzo. It is the best play according to Speedy Player. It scores the most. It's got a very balanced leave. And you can't really go wrong with it, can you? Because the ZO aren't the best floaters out there. So you're not really that worried about Marty using them for a bonus. I'm also not really worried about Marty bonusing from this rack at all. It's a very difficult rack. Because it's got duplicate T's and duplicate E's, it is even harder to make a word from it. So meatiest doesn't fit. Tieriest doesn't fit. So he's really looking to almost do the same that he did last turn as well. if he can't find a bonus. But there are bonuses because I didn't know them. The bonus is through the M, which is probably one of the more difficult floaters to see things behind. You've got estimate and T times. And interestingly, the N of Ginzo gives bonuses away. Anisette fits very nicely through that N, as does Tetanize. And it's always worth considering whenever you're close to a bonus and the floater you need, it's just kind of slightly obscured by another word, it's always worth looking at all the letters available on the board. Because just because one is partly obscured doesn't mean that you can't play around it. And you know what? Marty does see Anisette. He does play it. Scores the most points and pulls within half a bonus of Geoff, who seems to have almost drawn Geoff on his rack. So what should Geoff do here? He should definitely maximise the high scoring letters he's got on his rack. He'll be looking either down column L, maybe underneath Anisette, block off the S hook, or maybe playing down column 10 or down column D. He's got a lot of nice letters. They're just not the most perfect letters together. He could definitely do something like grey down from column L. The G isn't the nicest letter to have between two triples. He obviously won't want to open a triple lane being this half bonus ahead. He'll more than likely be a full bonus ahead after this play, so he won't want to do something that's going to put him behind very, very easily. So he does see and play Reefy, which kills off the S hook on Anisette, takes out the T and the E floaters, and scores a chunk of points without giving much away. So it's actually a near perfect move. The perfect move being if a bonus was possible, because we all want to play a bonus every single turn. Marty's not going to get a bonus this turn though. That Q is bumming his rack up, and he needs to find a way to play it. He's got QIN, and that plays down column L. It looks like one of the only places to play the Q on this board. That you can move it further down column L at L7 instead of L2. But it's very risky at L2, because if your opponent has an I, 30 easy points. If they have a bonus, 80 points. But at this point, he may just have to think, I need to get rid of that Q, I need to score some points, I have to do this and hope for the best. And he does. So Marty will see soon whether Geoff had nice enough letters to make use of beside QIN. And he does. He has immediately IC Vice. That's going to be a ton of points. 46 points. Of course, plays parallel to that further, so making QIN, something like Meister Micah, ANES or ANEW, that's still possible, but more unlikely. So Geoff won't be worried about doing something like this. And it is the best play, it is what Geoff plays, and Marty is slowly getting further and further behind. Marty's drawn the bonus. Drawn the blank. He'll be happy to have drawn the blank. He probably won't be so happy that Geoff got such a big score back, and that he's now looking either through the R of recurves or almost essentially a face value 7 or 8, which is not really what he wants to be looking for at this point. He'll be looking at the O of Ginzo at the bottom, potentially even making some parallels with Reefy. Immediately I can see harpoons. Only 67 points, it puts him 20 behind. Ideally he would like to score more, and that just may not be very possible on this board. Just because Geoff's done a good job of keeping it very controlled. The seas, or that fake sea of coastal, is doing a very good job of keeping it blocked as well. So let's see if there are any other better bonuses. And Quackle actually likes not playing a bonus here. It likes just using your S to score a good 50 points alongside. And quite honestly, that is better than what I saw. Because if you're scoring 50 points and keeping the blank, you should be doing that unless there's a very good reason not to. And you're not really getting rid of Elaine with something like Ash, because Mitch does take a T, among other letters, probably. So you've still got this column O to use. Even with Nosh, you've still got column O to use. And you've still got maybe a 9 through the TE here. And 8s are possible as well. So even though, you know, there's 15 points difference, playing a non-bonus is the better option here. And the only reason it scores so much is because there's a double word square at N2. Because the Q is involved, and there's quite a lot of high scoring consonants. It's a very easy place to score a bunch of points. And I won't be surprised if Marty eventually sees the place to do that. Interesting to note as well that there probably aren't any other better bonuses. There probably isn't much better scoring than harpoons, and that's almost quite surprising. You'd almost think that there should be something, you know, that parallels Reefy a bit better, that maybe scores into 70 points, and there just isn't. Which is surprising, and it seems like everything except the bonuses come out best here. And as Lipey says, wouldn't be surprised if Marty takes forever on this play. We've already seen him take forever on plays on stream, and this is the kind of move that he could take forever on, because it's so difficult to think you wouldn't play the bonus. And especially with the board dynamic, it's quite hard. But oh wow, championship player just likes no for 36. Where's Kenji when you need him? Kenji, evaluate this. I'm guessing no comes out a bit better because you still have the S hook down column O. And looking at the pool, there are no other S's left. So it can't be blocked. There's no W, you've got the last S, it can't be blocked. And you've got the H. You may end up scoring a solid 80-90 points down column O the next turn. So I can see why no comes out much better than everything else. And that would be quite a difficult play to think of. Especially because you're not really maximising the points from that position. You're trying to think almost ahead and think, oh yeah, there's no other S's left, there's no other floaters left. After Marty's play, we get a time update as well. Marty has about 5 minutes left and Geoff has 12.5. So he clearly spent a lot of time thinking about that play. And it could have potentially even been a different outcome move. So Geoff has an unplayable bonus on his rack. He has a Dogiate, or Dogiate. I don't know how to pronounce that. I just put dogs at the beginning of it. But immediately he is drawn to this bottom right quadrant. He's got the T for EFT, so he just has to make the rest of the letters fit. And he does, with Gates. I always find it a lot easier to make the letters fit the board rather than make your word fit the letters on the board. Because if you build up the word slowly, you know the T has to be the third letter, you know, for EFT. You know a vowel has to be at the end. You know you want the G in this position. You just let the vowels fill the gap. So Marty's drawn some of the clunkier consonants left in the pool. He's probably slightly annoyed because he didn't want to draw those. He wanted to get a bonus back quick. He didn't want Geoff to immediately get 51 points after he got 50 points. So he's in the same boat. He's still a good, strong bonus behind, and it's not getting much better quickly. He'll definitely be looking to get rid of the clunkier consonants here, if he can. And he does want to score points as well. But he also needs to make some kind of opening. And oh my god, Pro Labour. As opposed to Anti-Labour. He does miss a bonus here. The bonus will be the best play by far. It's possible because of the clunky letters on his rack. He wasn't even looking for the bonus in the first place. He does play Bora for 22, which does open out the triple. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets blocked immediately, and it does keep the floating O open and column O while creating some extra lanes. So I'm not surprised he missed Pro Labour, but it could cost him. So Geoff is now very pleased that the triple's been open because he can score. His move choice has basically been made for him. He knows where he has to go. He knows that he's just going to play a lot of tiles to prevent Marty from getting some tiles. And he plays Blonder for 30. And that's not much loss on Boodler. I don't know what the difference is, but yeah, he plays Blonder. Basically, just playing 6 tiles is a good enough choice there. Marty doesn't get those tiles, and the bag just empties quicker. As long as you're not emptying the bag, you're fine. So it's been suggested in chat that Marty could have passed up the bonus. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but it's almost like take the points while they're on offer. I mean, the J is still out, so you could really pick that up, maximise the score. I'm not sure, but it could entirely be possible. And unfortunately for Marty, he's picked up the J, so that basically crushes his entire hopes of bonusing here. He plays Jizz for 37. Unfortunately, that does take out one of the last floaters on the board. He doesn't really want to do that, but he's kind of left with no choice at this point. He needs to play the J and hope that his pickups are kind to him. Geoff, on the other hand, couldn't be more pleased. He's leading. The pool looks very unpleasant. There are only 4 vowels left out of 13. And most of the consonants, the H, the P, the B, they're all clunky. He's just hoping his opponent doesn't have that M. So he may consider here playing down column O or trying for points somewhere else. Just because he needs to go back to even Stevens. He plays Bayou here. I'm going to guess that Buai was missed. It is a hard spot, Buai. The OOA combination in words, there's only about 4 or 5 of them in the entire dictionary that have that pattern, OOA. One of the others is Tooart, T-O-O-A-R-T. But yes, you can also spell Buai with an I instead of a Y. But I'm not surprised Bayou gets played. It scores 34 points. Even though it opens the second lane, you don't really care about it because the O lane is open. You're not really looking to stop him bonusing because the game will end quicker if he does, and you'll get the triples back. So Marty's now probably annoyed that he's drawn pretty much every single clunky letter under the sun. He's probably moaning at the fact that all those vowels are unseen him. Half of the vowels are in the bag. And he's really he's got to play one tile and almost hope for the best at this point. Oh yes, I put Bayou in the wrong place. Of course I did. It's actually played down here, not making anything open at all. So, which makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Let's ignore everything I said. So, he's really stuck here. There's nothing to do. There'll be no win. He plays Paz. I don't know what he's hoping to draw because there's no... Is there a letter that gives him any bonus here at all? It's like one of those really useless setup things. But yeah, he drew the final L. And I'm just basically home and hosed now. He's just got to score a bunch of points and end the game. Which he does. He scores 8 points. Geoff, you could have scored more. And yeah, Marty just never really got going in this game. Geoff always seemed to be that bonus ahead. And it all started with recurves after that. Marty just couldn't get enough points to catch up. Geoff was always scoring too much. So it's just a case of playing out now, and Marty's blessed moves all burned blank. They all seem to play either down column B or row 2 or down column C. So he's probably just thinking of the way to minimize his spread loss, because second place David Koenig, I think, has spread on him more than likely. So Marty needs to make sure that if somehow David does equal him in wins or beat him, that he's not lost too much spread from previous matches. So let's see what championship player thinks the best endgame is. It's just play room comes out best. I'm guessing that means he could go out into with what's left. Play Enol through the O of Bayou, and then Leng through the G of 8. And that will give the best 2-move play out, because Geoff is looking at U and I. Oh no, he'll just go out with the UI, so that ends up coming out better. Unless it's probably, I mean, it gets four extra points playing Vroom than it does playing Vona. So maybe it's thinking Geoff will go out in 2 or something. But Marty's taking a while on this play. I hope he doesn't go overtime. So we're just waiting on Marty to do something, and hopefully that something is soon, because he only has so much time left. Ho hum. So it seems like he's played Boma and Opars. That's the second best move. He probably didn't see Vroom. That's always a hard word to see. And Geoff has decided to get drunk on his way out with DUI. Seemingly miss the play of EUOI, which is probably why Vroom comes out at 4 points better, because Broom doesn't give this back. But yes, Geoff wins 496 to 413. That's probably made his day at least a tiny little weeny bit better. Because he has struggled in this tournament. Maybe this is the start of Geoff's upswing, and maybe this is the start of Marty's downswing. But thank you for joining me for this game. I will send you now to the standings, where the next round will be in hopefully about 10 minutes. And I will see you on the other side of the break.